So we're going to be adding another field. Let's go over to Design View. And below pension date, we're going to enter vacation. Now for vacation, we want them to either choose 1 week, 2 weeks, or 4 weeks. We don't want any other options. So to give them a list of options, we have to use something called a lookup table. And you guys have all used them. In fact, this, for data type, this arrow, this is a lookup table, okay? So we're going to basically be creating our own lookup table. So we're going to come down here to the Lookup Wizard, because the wizard is going to help us create this table. Now, when you get into the wizard, you have two choices. If the values you want exist in another table, you can actually pull the values from that table. As luck would have it, our values are not in another table, so we have to choose option 2, which means we have to manually type them. So we have to choose option 2 and click Next. We are only going to display one column. This is referring to when you click on the arrow and you see the drop-down list, how many columns are displayed. We're only going to display one. And what we want is 1 week. And then I'm going to use my down arrow here. And then we want 2 weeks, down arrow, 3 weeks, down arrow, 4 weeks. That is what we want displayed to the user. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. And the label that we want is vacation. That is what we named our field, so that is what we want. And we have this list now of 1 through 4 weeks, and we do want to limit the user to the list, meaning they can't just make up the number of weeks. They can't just key in whatever they want. They have to pick something from our list. Okay, so click in that checkbox to turn it on. And then we're going to click on Finish. So at this point, we do have a drop-down list. Now, before we go take a look at it, there are some properties we're going to change. And to see the values you entered, you'll notice in the field properties, you have a General tab and a Lookup tab. So we're going to go into the Lookup tab because we now have a lookup field. So we have Lookup. And then you'll notice the values that you entered. So if you miskeyed something, you can fix it. And what we want, we already told them that we were going to limit to the list. Limit to list is yes. But then if you look, allow value list edits. That would allow them to change entries. Well, if we're going to limit them to the list, we really don't want to let them change anything. So we're going to change yes here to no. And then we're going to save our changes. And we're going to go over to Datasheet View. And we'll come over to Vacation. And if you click on the list, you can see all of their choices are here. If they try to key in 6 weeks and press Enter, it should not allow them to do that, okay? Because we basically said limit to this list and you can't make editing changes. So it should not allow 6 weeks, but if we choose 3 weeks, that should not be a problem. And you do not need to worry about printing this. We're basically going to save our changes and then close out of this table.